Australian homes, but they contain the textile equivalent of food preservatives. Enough of it will eventually make you seriously ill. And as a country, we don't check for it. Brian Seymour reports.
Totally unacceptable. Australian authorities have been caught unprepared.
If you thought formaldehyde was used only for embalming, you're dead wrong. And it could mean mountains of clothes will be pulled from the racks of department stores around Australia.
Very surprised, like everybody else. I thought its principal use was for, of course, the deceased. And it goes against the grain to think that it's wrapped in clothing that we, in turn, put close to our skin. And there are so many cases of skin reactions, and now we know it's principally because of excessive use of formaldehyde.
It's enough to make Peter McGoran's skin crawl, literally. As Federal Minister for Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, he's used to screening for hazardous imports. But even he says it's getting out of hand.
How confident should we be about goods manufactured in China?
Eventually we will, because the Chinese authorities themselves are dismayed at the growing international reputation they have for shoddy workmanship.
We've already found formaldehyde in fish, then in these blankets pulled from shelves as unsafe. Now we've found formaldehyde in the clothes we wear. But stop scratching your head for a moment. Here's why Chinese clothing manufacturers use formaldehyde.
I found they put formaldehyde in clothing to stop it from creasing, and that they were more likely to put it in 100% cotton than any other clothing.
That's right. It keeps clothes looking fresh and new, prevents creasing. New Zealander Julian Murahidi also found it keeps his skin feeling foul. It's a highly toxic chemical, and there's bad news if you think you can avoid it.
You can't at the moment, because there's no uniform standard on a definition of what amount of formaldehyde added is safe or not safe. So we need to very quickly, especially through the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, set a standard, make sure it's enforced, and also label our clothing so that people can make an informed choice.
Prepare to be informed. Following our stories on formaldehyde found in Chinese goods imported here, our colleagues at the Target program on TV3 in New Zealand decided to test common items of clothing made in China.
So we thought we'd go shopping for a random selection of clothing, men's, women's, and even something for the kids.
Reporter Brooke Howard-Smith enlisted laboratory testers. Remember, these clothes are all regulated by the same Australian-New Zealand standards. Unlike Europe and the United States, our regulators don't specify safe levels of formaldehyde. At just 2 to 3 parts per million, you might feel crawling sensations on your skin. At 20 parts per million, expect rashes, headaches, dizziness, joint pain, fatigue, asthma and cancer. The test results are stunning. This is clothing purchased from stores including the New Zealand branches of Kmart and The Warehouse. Remember, 20 parts per million is too high. The girls' top had 230 parts per million, women's corduroys 290 parts per million, school shorts 630 parts per million, a Spider-Man t-shirt 1,400 parts per million, pyjamas at 3,400 parts per million, child's pants 16,000 parts per million, 100% woolen pants 17,000 parts per million. Julian's 100% cotton trousers, also 17,000, and these stain-resistant pants, a whopping 18,000 parts per million. That's 900 times the level that causes harm. A recent survey in China found of all the children's clothing manufactured there, only half was of passable quality.
Our quarantine and border controls are aimed at plant and animal health issues.
The even worse news is that subsequent tests have revealed high pH levels and the presence of harmful dyes called aromatic amines, dangerous cancer-causing chemicals banned under international standards. There are some things you can do now. Repeated washing and airing of new clothes can reduce the levels of formaldehyde, and you're least likely to find it in 100% silks, polyester, acrylics and nylons, also spandex, flannel, denim and easily creased linen. generally garments that are soft and easily creased. Unfortunately, authorities here do not test for aromatic dyes, nor pH levels, or formaldehyde, meaning the only thing being preserved is consumer ignorance.
Today Tonight has drawn it to the attention of government authorities, and now we need to act.
Brian Seymour reporting. Within